The rain came sudden and merciless across the Wyoming plains, as if heaven itself had split open. Thunder rolled over the ridges, deep and mournful, and every pine tree seemed to shudder beneath the weight of the storm. In that curtain of gray, a young woman walked alone, her dark braids slick with rain, her thin cloak soaked through. Her name was Nia Willow, age 20, once known in the small town of Willowbend for the wooden toys she carved and sold on Saturdays. She carried a bundle of those carvings now, wrapped tight against her chest, a horse, a bird, a cradle doll. Each one carried the smell of cedar, the memory of hands that worked with patience rather than pride. The storm deepened. Mud clung to her boots, and her breath came in shallow bursts. Nia had thought to reach town before nightfall, but the road had become a river. Through the blur of rain, she saw a flicker of light on a distant hill, a cabin's lantern burning steady against the wind. She hesitated. Folks in Willowbend whispered about that cabin and the man who lived there. They said he was part bear, part man, with hands big enough to crush a skull and a heart too heavy for company. Still, cold and hunger left no room for fear tonight. She climbed the slope, rain cutting down her face, until she stood before the wooden cabin. The door loomed large, the light spilling faintly through the cracks. She raised a trembling hand and knocked. For a long moment, there was only the storm's voice. Then the latch clicked. He filled the doorway. Jack Callahan, age 30, stood in silence, broad-shouldered, unshaven, with eyes the color of smoke and a calm that felt dangerous. The fire behind him made a gold halo of his outline, but his expression stayed guarded, as if kindness were something he hadn't practiced in years. "Please," Nia said, her voice almost lost to the rain, "let me stay in your cabin until the rain stops." Jack looked her over once. Water dripped from her cloak onto his floorboards. There was fear in her eyes, but not the kind that begged for pity. It was the fear of someone used to being turned away. He stepped aside without a word. She entered slowly. The cabin smelled of pine resin and smoke. A fire crackled in the hearth, and a kettle hissed faintly atop it. Jack shut the door, sealing out the wind. He handed her a blanket, thick and coarse, and motioned toward the fire. "Sit," he said simply. She obeyed. Steam rose from her clothes as she warmed herself. The silence between them stretched long, filled only by the crackling of firewood. After a while, he spoke. "You came from the valley?" "Yes," she said softly. "I was going to town. To sell what I made." She unwrapped the bundle and set one of the carvings, a small wooden horse, on the table. Its mane had been etched so finely the firelight seemed to move through it. Jack studied it, then her. "You made that?" She nodded. He ran a thumb along the horse's flank. "Takes patience," he murmured. "Most folks don't have that anymore." A silence again, gentler this time. Outside, the storm raged louder, battering the windows with sheets of rain. Inside, their breaths fell into rhythm, two strangers caught in the same small pocket of warmth. Night grew heavier. He offered her bread and beans. She accepted with quiet gratitude. Between them lingered something unspoken, a faint recognition of shared solitude. When she finally lay to rest by the fire, wrapped in the blanket, Jack watched from the table where he sat whittling a piece of wood. Her face, calm in sleep, made the cabin feel less empty. The rain kept its steady rhythm, like a drumbeat in the dark. By morning, the world had turned to silver mist. The storm had passed, but puddles glittered everywhere. Nia stepped outside to stretch her legs. The forest smelled alive, wet pine, damp earth, and the faint sweetness of grass. That's when she noticed one of his horses limping near the fence. She walked over quietly. The horse's leg bore a gash, red and swollen. Without hesitation, she knelt and opened her satchel. From a small pouch, she took crushed herbs and applied them gently, whispering words in Lakota, old words her mother had taught her for healing. Jack came out, leaning against the post, watching. "You got a healer's hands," he said. Nia didn't look up. "Only hands that have learned not to waste pain." He smiled faintly, a ghost of something long buried. "That's a rare lesson." Their eyes met for the first time without walls between them. The air seemed to hold its breath. For 3 days, the rain returned in waves, and she stayed. They fell into a quiet rhythm. He mending tools, she carving small figures by the window. Sometimes she hummed under her breath, songs of rivers and wind. He found himself listening as if those melodies carried stories the world had forgotten. One evening, she made coffee while he sharpened his knife. Their hands brushed when she passed the mug to him. Neither pulled away. The contact lingered, small, almost accidental, but filled with meaning. When the third dawn came bright and clear, she packed her things. "The roads will be dry by noon," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "It's time I go." Jack didn't stop her. He only nodded, his face unreadable. But when she reached the door, he said, "You're welcome here. Whenever the rain comes back." She smiled faintly, and for a moment it felt like they might both stay suspended in that single heartbeat. Then she left. In town, eyes followed her. Whispers rose like gnats. The Indian girl stayed in his cabin. A man alone with her 3 nights. Sin, that's what it was. When she set up her carvings in the market, no one came. The coins she'd hoped for never clinked. A child she once gifted a toy to turned away when his mother called. Shame pressed heavy against her ribs. That evening, she walked into the forest again. She didn't cry. Not yet. She only walked until the sound of the town vanished behind her, until all she heard was the rustle of leaves and her own heartbeat. Jack found her there by the stream, kneeling beside the water, her bundle of toys floating downstream like lost children. He said nothing, only stepped beside her, hands deep in his coat pockets. "They won't let me belong," she said quietly. "Not them. Not anyone." Jack looked at her, rain beginning to fall again in soft drops. "You belong here," he said. "With me." Her breath caught. She wanted to believe him. But belief was a fragile thing, too easily broken. Still, when the thunder rolled and the sky opened again, they both ran back to the cabin, laughing breathlessly as the rain chased them home. In the weeks that followed, something changed. He started carving with her. His hands were rough, clumsy, but patient. She taught him how to shape the grain, how to feel where the wood wanted to go. And in turn, he taught her to ride his horse, Ash, whose leg had healed under her care. They became a rumor turned truth, a man and woman living together on the edge of judgment. Some nights, the town's sheriff rode up, warning Jack that he'd lose his standing if he kept her there. Other nights, someone left broken toys outside the cabin as cruel reminders. But they endured. Because love, for them, wasn't loud. It was built in gestures. The way he brushed wood shavings from her hair, the way she mended his torn shirt by lamplight. One afternoon, they made a choice. Under the tallest pine, with the preacher and his reluctant wife standing as witnesses, they exchanged vows. Jack's voice was steady. "I'll stand by her through storm and sun, till the land takes me home." Naya's hands shook, but her eyes glowed. "And I'll carve a life with him that no storm can wash away." The wind sighed through the branches as if approving. But peace in the west is never left untouched. That same night, fire licked the cabin walls. Someone had set it alight. The smell of smoke tore through their sleep. They fought side by side, bucket after bucket, until dawn broke over the smoldering ruin. Half the cabin was gone, but their bond wasn't. Jack, breathless and streaked with soot, looked at her. "They can burn the walls," he said, voice rough, "but they'll never take you from me." Naya, shaking but unbroken, answered, "Then we build again." And they did. Through ashes, they built something stronger, a home that belonged only to them. The town still talked, but time has a way of softening even the sharpest stones. Children began to wander back to her carving table. Men nodded respectfully when passing Jack in the field. Years later, the rain came again. Softer this time. Jack sat by the fire, gray now at his temples, watching Naya carve another wooden horse. "Guess the rain's come back to visit," he said with a smile. She looked up, eyes gleaming. "Then let it stay. It brought us together once." The firelight flickered across their faces as thunder whispered far away. Love, he thought, was never the storm, it was the cabin that stood through it. And if anyone ever asked what happened on the night Nia Willow knocked on Jack Callahan's door, he'd only smile and say, "Sometimes the rain don't bring sorrow. Sometimes it brings home."